I call this May 16th, 2023 meeting of the Transportation Committee to order. A physical quorum of the members is, a quorum of the members is physically present. I would like to entertain a motion. Do we have members A on board? There he is. Okay. I'd like to entertain a motion to permit members A not physically present due to illness and employment purposes to participate by video conference. I have a motion. I have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. All right. Welcome to the meeting, Mr. Zay.
Thank you.
On to, we have a busy agenda here today, and I'm going to move on to roll call. How'd you like that?
Jacqueline,
Roll call,
here.
please.
Covert. Evans.
Here.
Ozog.
Here.
Tornatori.
Here.
And Zay.
Here.
Okay. We have a busy agenda today, so we will keep it moving here. Do we have any public comment?
No.
Okay. None. And next I move for approval of the, I'm going to wait. Oh, yeah, at the end, we'll get to our old new business. Okay, I'd like to move for the approval of the minutes from our Tuesday, May 2nd meeting. Second, okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Next, we have some procurement requisitions. I move for approval of 23-1692. Recommendation for the approval of a contract to Naffield Equipment Company, Chicago, to furnish and deliver Force America parts for the period June 1st, 2023 through May 31st, 2024, for a contract total not to exceed $25,000, first of 3 one-year renewals. I have a second. Any comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Next, I move for approval of DTP 007123. Recommendation for the approval of a contract to Complete Fleet Services Incorporated for on-call repair service and repair parts for diesel trucks and plows as needed for the Division of Transportation for the period June 1st, 2023 through May 31st, 2024 for a contract total not to exceed $30,000. I have a second. Any comments or questions? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Next, I move for approval of DTP 007223. Recommendation for the approval of a contract to Kevin's Auto and Diesel Repair for on-call repair service and repair parts for trucks and plows as needed for the Division of Transportation for the period June 1st, 2023 through May 31st, 2024 for a contract total not to exceed $30,000, first of 3 renewals. I have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Next, DTP 007323. Recommendation for the approval of a contract to Precise MRM LLC for fleet tracking equipment and service agreement for the Division of Transportation for the period of June 1st, 2023 through May 31st, 2024 for a contract total not to exceed $34,000, not suitable for competitive bid sole source. I have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Next, I do move for approval of DTP 007423. Recommendation for the approval of a contract to Compass Minerals America Incorporated to furnish and deliver bulk rock salt as needed for the Division of Transportation for the period June 1st, 2023 through May 31st, 2024 for a contract total amount of $1,331 and 300. I'm really sorry. Okay, $1,331,270 per lowest responsible bid, subject to 3 one-year renewals. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. My allergy
Those are hard.
medication is. Okay, Mary. I move for approval of DTP 007523. Recommendation for the approval of a contract to Gonzalez Companies LLC to provide professional construction engineering services upon request of the Division of Transportation for the period May 23rd, 2023 through November 30th, 2025 for a contract total not to exceed $500,000.
Second.
Professional services vetted through qualification-based selection process. I have a second. Any comments or questions about this? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Aye.
Next, I move for approval of DTP 007623. Recommendation for the approval of a contract to Tecma Associates Incorporated for professional construction engineering services for various improvements, section 23
Second.
CENGR 12 EG for the period May 23rd, 2023 through November 30th, 2025 for a contract total of not to exceed $500,000 professional services qualification-based selection process. I have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Next, we have change orders. I move for approval of 231691, DTR 0211A22, amendment to DTR 021122 issued to Utility Dynamics Corporation for the street lighting improvements along Fabian Parkway, section 22002105TL to increase the funding in the amount of $625.72, resulting in an amended contract total of $105,240.42, an increase of 0.6%. I have a second. Any comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Next, I move for approval of 231709 DTR 0382A22, amendment to resolution DTR 038222 between the County of DuPage and R.W. Dunkman for the Milton Township Lambert Road improvements, correction of project section number. I have a second. Any comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Next, I move to combine items 7C through L. These are all decrease and close or contract extensions. I have a second?
I did second.
Second, okay. Next, I move to approve items.
Vote on combine.
Oh, everyone, all in favor of
Aye.
combining?
Aye.
Thank you.
Aye.
Next, I move to combine, or I move to approve item C 231701, Ozinga Ready Mix Concrete, decrease and close, purchase order 5766. Item 231703, Float Construction, decrease and close, purchase order 5763. 231704, Vulcan Incorporated, decrease and close, purchase order 5767. 231733, American Surveying and Engineering Contract Extension, purchase order 3731, one serve. 231734, Atlas Engineering Group, contract extension, purchase order 4284, one serve. 231735, Christopher Burke Engineering, contract extension, purchase order 5203, one serve. 231736, Ciorba Group, contract extension, purchase order 5339, one serve. 231737, Epstein contract extension, purchase order 5299, one serve. 231745, FGM Architects, contract extension, PO 5300, one serve. And 231746, Knight Incorporated, contract extension, purchase order 4557, one serve. Okay, I have a second. Any comments or questions on any of those? Okay, hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Next, we have an intergovernmental agreement. I move for approval of DTR 006923, intergovernmental agreement between the County of DuPage and the Wayne Township
Second.
Road District for the 2023 Road Maintenance Program, Section 23-07001 GM, no county cost. I have a second. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Ordinances. I move for approval of DTO 005123, recommendation to repeal Department of Transportation 1688, the DuPage County Fair Share Transportation Impact Fee Ordinance, and adopt the DuPage County Fair Share Transportation Impact Fee Administration Ordinance. I have a second. Okay. Member Evans.
This seems like a big deal to me. Is there, sorry, but Dr. Snyder, can you maybe give a little background on how we came to this decision?
Right, so there was a memo in the packet that provides some background. So it's been around for 34 years, and during the peak growth of the county in terms of population and business, it was an appropriate fund to assess for development, redevelopment, or development of property. Since that time, what we've seen, especially in the last couple of years since the pandemic, the fees have been reduced to probably under $1 million a year. The trip generations by new development, redevelopment, and by residents just isn't generating a lot of revenue for this. So it's also becoming very difficult to administer. So these funds can only be used in areas that don't currently have congestion. And so that's kind of how the statute was set up. So it's very difficult to find projects that we can allocate funds toward. So that being said, after looking at our current revenues between the state of Illinois, Rebuild Illinois, and the actions by prior county board, this county board for changes to our local gas tax, those revenues are more than appropriate to fund our long-range plans, our maintenance and operations for the DOT.
Thank you.
It's great for developers and residents across the
Yeah,
board.
for sure.
Big cost savings.
Oh, so we also had the Impact Fee Advisory Committee meeting last week, and the committee members are very appreciative of us making this change. And I think it's going to be good for the county, good for the builders, good for developers, and good for our residents, depending on what project we're talking about. So moving on, we're gonna.
Oh, and I just gonna comment too, and Chair Conroy did talk about this in our opening comments last week at the county board.
No,
why it was up.
there's not much discussion behind that decision.
And there's actually been minimal, if any, discussion from the public. So I think it's just it's time has come. The county is definitely matured.
Minister too.
The funds, there is definitely as far as there's some definite issues, right? With
And I'd be happy to have a conversation with you too, if you want to just talk one-on-one. I could talk about, there's some very strict constitutional standards to spend the money. It's very difficult to spend. It takes a lot of work hours so that the county doesn't open itself up to litigation by particular people. And like I said, I'd be happy. I've been involved with it for the last 10 years, and we could have, more detailed conversations if you'd like.
Okay, thank you.
hey, any other comments or questions about this? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Next, I move on to travel request. I move for approval of I'm going to combine, I move to combine items A through F. These are all
Second.
sending staff to the same training event in October. I have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Next, I move for approval of 23-17-24 vehicle maintenance supervisor to travel to Effingham, Illinois from October 1st, 2023 through October 6th, 2023 to attend the Illinois Public Service Institute Focus on Service Excellence. Second of 3, to provide training in the area of supervisory skills, leadership development, and service excellence. Expenses to include registration, transportation, lodging, and meals for an estimated county cost of $1,855.64. Okay, now I'm going to read the rest of these a little bit more abridged. I move for approval 23-17-25 for a project engineer to travel to the same conference in Effingham for a total cost of $1,855.64. 23-17-26. I move for a heavy equipment crew leader to travel to Effingham, Illinois, October 1st, 2023, for the cost of $1,855.64. I move for approval of 23-17-27. Heavy equipment crew leader to travel to Effingham, Illinois, October 1st, county cost of $1,855.64. 23-17-28. Heavy equipment crew leader to travel to Effingham, Illinois, and for a county cost of $1,855.64. And item 23-17-29, heavy equipment crew leader to travel to Effingham, Illinois, October 1st. Same expenses, $1,855.64.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, next we move on to old business, and we have 2 issues that we're going to discuss today. The first issue, I'm going to turn it over to Chris to discuss the Kansas City, the merger going on and where we're at.
Right, so at our last meeting, we briefly discussed that the coalition communities were going to be taking a vote, actually it was last week, on whether to appeal the decision by the Surface Transportation Board. It was unanimous that all communities felt that the STB, when they approved of the merger, they did not take a hard look in our estimation of the coalition communities in terms of the the environmental impact statement findings. So one of the asks of the appeal is that the STB be required to do a supplemental EIS specifically for the coalition communities. Take a harder look at the environmental impact, the traffic impact, the emergency responder impact. And our hope is that will then yield to more robust mitigation measures than the nominal mitigation measures that were recommended or required of the STB. So that has been filed in the 7th Circuit, which I guess is the Chicago area. We looked at 7th Circuit versus DC and felt that the 7th Circuit has had NEPA, National Environmental Protection Agency, litigation before in the past, and we felt that that was a good form for us to file. So at this point, it's been filed, and we'll see what the next steps are.
Thank you, Chris. Next, we're going to discuss, as you all know, Chris will be leaving us toward the end of the year. And it'll be very difficult. We will need to replace him. So I'm going to turn it over to Nick to discuss what's going on.
So clearly one of the most critical positions we have is Director of Transportation, County Engineer. I've been told by HR we're not allowed to lock Chris in his office. So Chris and I have been talking nonstop since he is announced. Very happy for him for retirement, but we need to move forward with how we're going to replace it. The position is probably one of the more complicated positions, and it's got more so in the history of our county. We've never had, the long range transportation plan. I mean, 1.2 billion in construction projects, 100 million a year and budget, 108 people. It's very, very complicated, more so than it's ever been. To give the committee a little bit of history, Chris is the only person who's ever been both the Director of Transportation and the county engineer. Prior to Chris, it was separated. And it's just so happened with Chris's background, his knowledge. That's why it did work very well together. My proposal would be that moving forward, that we advertise both positions simultaneously and have them both on the street. And because I don't think you're going to find a Chris clone, as much as we'd like one, I don't think that they're out there. So I think that we need to have a county engineer focusing on our extremely aggressive construction plan that this committee has approved, and the director is going to focus more on the maintenance side, maybe some of the liaisons, trying to get partnerships going with Tollway and IDOT. But with the concurrence from the committee, we want to cast an extremely wide net nationwide. We're going to be on ASCE, everything we can think about, we want to advertise them. I will tell you the county engineer position is a very long runway to be certified, because it has to be certified by IDOT. So there's a very long runway, probably 3 to 4 months to get a county engineer. My goal would be to get these once we develop, and I'm going to work closely with Chris in order to make sure that what we're doing, we're going to get them both in the street as quickly as we can. I would like to have, whenever we find the right candidates for, who knows, maybe the perfect candidate is going to come in and we're going to go back to one, but I highly doubt it. But we would like to move forward as quickly as possible, get as much overlap as possible. For as complex as the transportation department is, I think that it would serve everybody well if we had months of overlap, if we do find the right candidate, if we move quickly enough. My goal would be the last month of Chris's tenure here, he's sitting there coming to my office going on board. That means we did our job right. So if everybody is in agreement, I would like to move forward with Chris, with HR, to get these going and get them advertised and try to go nationwide.
And I liked the idea, of having this as 2 separate positions, because we are currently in a position where we're losing one person in 2 positions. So I think it would serve the county better if we had these at two separate positions.
And what are the positions again, director?
It's
what's that?
county engineer and
Okay.
director of
And director of
transportation.
transportation.
Okay,
County engineer is the
So-
one that has all of the state requirements.
okay,
For IDOT, you need to submit who your preferred candidate is. They have to vet them, make sure that they meet the standards for county engineer. They're very particular.
okay.
And they have to
great.
have the professional engineer designation as well, starting with that, so.
For the county engineer.
For the county engineer.
And they're statutory terms, they're not terms that we just
Yeah.
came up with.
No, no.
And should, as Nick mentioned, should it work out that we do have one candidate, you know, we will definitely consider that.
Yeah,
Oh,
well,
yeah,
But I really like the idea of separating the positions, just to have more of a broad knowledge base in case we come up with this situation again, which,
I will tell you, every aspect of this department is more complicated than it's ever been. There's not everything from the scope, the breadth, the lane miles to maintenance to now you have all the trails and sidewalks. I mean, it's more complicated than it's ever been. And so I think the time is to separate. We've been very lucky, very fortunate to have one person fill two. I don't think that's how it's going to be moving forward.
consensus on it?
can I have consensus on this idea of separate, or looking for two candidates is where we're at the moment.
Fine.
Mr. Zay? Good, okay. Okay, any other questions or comments about this idea? Okay, and I know Nick and Chris will both keep us abreast of what's
Thank
going
you.
on with this. Again, locking him in a room is not an option, but it's
Tried to, I was
It's
told no.
clearly been thought of, so at any rate.
It's scary.
I I neglected to welcome Chris Rose from PACE here today. I appreciate you coming. Thank you very much. And everybody else, thank you. Do we have any other old business? Okay, Member Chaplin.
Yes, I just want to thank Chris Schneider for helping me last week with my neighbor. So thank you, I appreciate it, my constituents. So, you know, it's always nice when, you know, you reach out to staff and then they get right back to them. So I really appreciate that. And second, this letter that we're going to send to regarding the railroad merger, I give you a lot of credit for trying, but I am just not real positive of where this is going to go. You know, I just was reading an article about freight trains in Indianapolis or somewhere in Indiana, where they're so long that they block the tracks for hours. And these kids have to go they're going under the trains or over the trains to get to school, or their parents are keeping them home. And they tried and they get nowhere. So I mean, I give us a lot of credit, but I'm really not hopeful that this is gonna go. I hate to be, usually I'm very, you know, on the positive.
I
but
think
this
the
is
effort
just-
is-
I think it's
is
necessary, but
absolutely
I'm
worth
not
it.
really.
But yeah, as a neighbor to the Union
I
Pacific
know,
for
you know
37
me.
years, I'm gonna keep my mouth shut.
I know. Well, I hope it goes through, but it's gonna
It's
be
worth
tough.
it to try.
It's worth it. It's gonna be tough.
As you know, the county bill was critical in the traffic analysis, traffic studies that we had done and put together and talked at public hearings. I had the opportunity to speak in front of the STB and DC and talked about how the data from the railroad and how they approached it was flawed. And I really think this is an opportunity for us to get in front of the appeals court and, you know, go back and talk about that testimony and what we offered. And just ask that they take another hard look at it.
Yeah.
Because
hope
it
they
is
do.
going to be significant. I will say anecdotally, I believe Bensonville has already had an 11,000 foot train possibly go through their yard, which only holds 7,500 feet. So you have to derail, decouple it, bring it in two pieces. I think it was 35 minutes that York Road was blocked. So we do have a
So it-
liaison. They are required, the CP, to provide a liaison. So far, they've been establishing the agenda. We made it clear going forward that they're liaison to us, not the reverse. And so we need to be setting the agenda and get a time frame of when they're going to implement technology to say train approaching, block crossing, 2 minutes type of stuff. That technology is out there. We're waiting for them. We're reviewing different technology. Bill found, oddly enough, a company out of Canada that has this technology, and here we're dealing with a Canadian railroad. Well, serendipitous, but coincidental, is that right? Anyway, coincidental. So anyway, so we're evaluating that, but we're mindful of the monitoring. It's a 7-year monitoring period, which is unprecedented. And so we know we have to do our due diligence to get in front of the STB. I will say there are 2 instances in the region where the STB has gone back to a major carrier and require them to do additional measures to address blocked crossings. So our contact at the ICC, a good friend of mine, does say it's not without precedent that going back to the STB. And Marty Oberman, the chair, made it very clear that if this merger and what they presented as fact and what the proposal was, if that in fact is not the case, that they do expect us to be before the STB.
Good. And I did send over the resolution that we passed at our last board meeting to the DuPage Road Safety Council, and they were very appreciative of that resolution, so.
Okay, any other old business, any new business? Okay, hearing none, I move to adjourn. And thank you.
Second.
Thank you, everybody.
All in favor, aye.
Aye.